Welcome, welcome. Hey, party people. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's me, Tuniscia O. You see this guy? Look who I got. I got Tyrone in the building.
I'm here.
I hope you're ready to hold it down for the fellas, Tyrone.
I'm going to hold it down.
There's a lot of weight on your shoulders. They are expecting you to hold it down for them tonight and speak up on their behalf. They're tired of all this drama and all this nonsense. And they're hoping that you could change the world with this talk we're going to have tonight.
The world is changing. We are already in rotation. It's going to come. It's going to happen.
Good. As long as you got a game plan, I'm super excited. Welcome, guys. It's me, Tuniscia O. Welcome to Tea with Tuniscia O. I am super excited to have Tyrone as a guest. Many of you already know this, but he is a radio personality at KCOH in Houston, Texas, as well as he has this amazing, we were talking about what it is, like it's a vlog, it's like Tea with Tuniscia O, but it's Soapbox Heroes podcast, except for you can see his face. I don't know, but whatever it is, it's amazing. So if you aren't already subscribed or liked to that page, you definitely want to check him out. Why? Because he's got it going on. Any hot topics, the debate or discussion, however you want to see it, it's happening there. So tonight, you are going to talk to us about if all the drama that is happening is really about the kids. Like once you break up, that relationship ends. It's not typically a smooth situation. So you're going to help us out to see what's what.
Okay.
And just so you guys know, he's totally engaged. He's getting all, he has like 50 million subscribers somewhere. So
no, not close.
And they always come in to come in. So they're welcome to join this discussion as well.
I'm sharing. So I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
All right. So talk to us, my friend. What are your first thoughts on this? You're in a blended family. You have a beautiful wife, 3 lovely children.
Yes.
So what's been your experience?
Well, my experience is a blended family. Well, let me give you the start of my blended family.
All right, let's do it.
I have 2 children that lives with me, and I have 1 child that doesn't. And so that's the blend. And when he comes, there's always an adjustment, you know, and it's not like he doesn't come often. He comes often, but anytime a child is gone from a place for a certain amount of time, anytime you go somewhere, it's an adjustment, even if it's a month. He's 6. He'll be 7 May 1st.
Ah, he's a little guy. Okay.
Yeah, he'll be 7 May 1st. And so and so that's our blended family. And so that's pretty much our blend right there.
All right. And how often is he with you? Is he hanging with you guys?
Well, he started with us before he went to school. It was really no organization. He just came, and so he would be with us between 6 and 7 months a year. We'll just switch off. And then when he started school last year, we had came up with something with the plan to where he would stay there and for the first 2 years, and then 2 years he would come here and we would assess it. And
with
so
his mother, right?
With his mother. And so we're not to the 2 years yet, but after this summer, at this summer we'll be at the 2 years. And so we're at the beginning stages of that. And so we're going to see.
How has it been thus far? Like, tell us, were you ever together? Were you ever in the same home together, with your son? Okay.
No, actually, no. So since he was a child, since he was first born, this has kind of been it's been the organization that we've had. It's been the arrangement.
Okay.
And so we've all been kind of getting used to the gone for 3-4 whole months, and then and then we get the summer, and so we did last summer, and we do holidays, but it's always an adjustment coming back. Anytime you go from one place to another, it's an adjustment.
You know what? It's an adjustment even for children who are going every other weekend.
Yeah, this is true.
When I comes back, I'm like, wait, what happened? What happened to the kid that I know 2 days ago? We just had this chat. What's going on? So I get that. Okay,
so we're gonna talk about the drama, right? We're gonna talk about who why does it start, or is it really because of the kids?
That's exactly what we're going to talk about, because
Mm.
now we've established where the baby is. He comes and he goes, and at least he
Okay.
knows who you are, because sometimes that's not the case. You know, people. So everybody listening, this is a father who is involved in his baby's life.
Very much so.
Yes. So talk to us. Where do you think the core issue begins? Because we can establish that relationships end. They come and they go. Okay, fine. But why do we have to be battling so hard over children? Where do you think that comes from? I have my own thought, but I want to get what you think.
Okay, interesting. Where does the battle begin? I think the battle begins with not accepting that you're not over a person, or accepting when it's time to really understand I'm over that person. I think that's the first battle, because people will say, I'm over this person. I'm over this person. And the whole time they're giving them a hard time. And nobody really knows why they're giving them a hard time. That
they
person
don't even know why they're giving you a hard time. Yes, they don't know.
Yeah. And even they could be moved on. They could be doing whatever they want to do, but there's still that struggle. And I think it's not even about the other person. It's about that person realizing, all right, it's time for me to just honestly realize that I'm still hurt, or I'm something still wrong, or I need to let it go, or whatever the situation is. So you got to deal with your own internal first. That's what I think. I think a lot of people just kind of skip past that.
I agree.
You know, I'm not hurt. It don't matter. Can I go get my son? No. What?
That's the thing that throws me off. I don't trust him. He's not going to make the right decisions. Let me get this straight. And I actually had a video about it. If there are kids listening, this is the time you might want to push mute or pause. But you were good enough, safe enough for you to lay down with this man however many times, and you were in good shape. Mm-hmm. But now that it's time for him to be a responsible adult to take care of his child, he no longer has any level of competence, but you trusted him with you on a regular. And now it just doesn't make sense to me.
It's not the competence. And sometimes when you're hurt or when you feel a certain way, you just all logic is thrown out the window. And so you just attach anything that sounds good. That sounds good. It feels good. Works for you. Works for me. I don't think that you're responsible, or I don't think that, he's ready to be with you that long, or whatever, and it's something that is just easy just to glam on to something, just to grab on. But it's, it's the easier thing to do. And I just think, but again, I think that's where it starts, is just realizing if you really are not over somebody and you're trying to act like you're not over somebody, you're going to take out that feeling in one way or another. And it's going to be whatever conduit connects you to that person. If it's a toothbrush, you're never going to give them their toothbrush.
No.
Can I get my toothbrush?
Yeah, no, you can't get your toothbrush back. She's not giving it.
Can I get my CDs? Can I get my CD book? No.
You're going to give it out the window so that everything's cracked and shattered. It's that brokenness. And we mentioned offline, I think that it comes down to fear. When people break up and when people split, it comes down to fear. So many things. First of all, however their baggage of life is packed, right? You don't know what happened in their childhood, and however their mom, grandmother, whomever it was, did it when they argued or fought. That's pretty much what we resort back to, unless we've gone through a transformational healing and changed some of those things. So we're afraid. Is he going to take my child away? I don't want another woman around my child, because God forbid she's better than I am at cooking or cleaning, or the child prefers her to me. You know what I mean? Like, those are real fears that people have. And unless you are comfortable with who you are as a mother or a father, I don't know. I wonder, like most men, you guys don't seem to worry about that. Y'all break up and some men are like, I don't want nobody around them, but you guys don't.
Yeah. We all have insecurities. We're men. It's hard for a man to just, it's hard for us to adjust to other people being around our kids. I think that's hard for anybody. I don't know if that's exactly a sex thing or a father-mother thing. I think that's just an innate feeling. Yeah. You feel like something is yours. It belongs to you. It don't even have to be a child. Your car. Tuniscia, let me use your car.
Right.
As soon as I leave, you could be like, ooh, I don't know Tyrone that good.
I know.
Right. And so I think that part is just innate, but I do think that fear does have a lot to do with it too. And so I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Is just figuring out what your combination is. If you're acting that way because of fear, then address your fear. If you're acting like that because jealousy, and I know like some of these words just spark a automatic defense. Like if you say jealousy, it makes somebody say, I'm not jealous,
right?
Without even considering like, well, I
Maybe
might be.
am. Exactly.
Right? And so I think you have to like, you got to get past them automatic defenses. And once you get past them automatic defenses, like I said, then I think you could, go on. But I think it's a combination of things. I think it's fear and like I said, it's picking your combination. And so I think in my situation, it was fear, and I don't really even think it was fear. I think it was more outside, more outside pressure, and actually
influences of the people around you in your ear.
Right. And to satisfy them, because I think people don't give the gravity that it takes heed to, that sometimes people have to adjust to the situations they're in. And so if you're around a bunch of people who have a one train of thought, and that's who you're around, and you're living with them, and you kind of depending on them, and they're depending on you, you take on their thought process too, right or wrong. And even if you feel it, you still gotta kind of, fit into what they're thinking.
Because you already have this failed relationship, and if you don't do what they're saying, now this relationship is messed up, and then you're completely isolated from everyone.
Right. And so I think and so like I said, I think it's a combination of things. I don't ever think it's ever one thing. I always think it's a nice hodgepodge of things, a gumbo mixed together.
It's a gumbo mix of a hot mess. It's exactly. And the one person that is forgotten in all of it by every person who's talking, it's the child.
Yeah.
We always say it's for the best interest of the child. How do you know?
Well, I do think this, and I'll be honest with you. I think that in certain situations, there can be one parent who have the ability to still focus and hone in on the child and leave their feelings on the child. A lot of times, I think sometimes it just be one person, raining on the parade. And that's just true. I don't always think that it's both. And I'm not saying man or woman, but I find in a lot of situations, you'll be like, wow, why is it just one person? And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think is that person might have to address whatever their gumbo issue is and admit it. Like, what? Yeah, I'm still hurt. I'm mad at her, or I'm mad at him. And little Jimmy is about to be a football.
And that's exactly so. I'll say this then: if somebody is I'm putting you in the therapist seat right now, because
let me sit back.
So if somebody is in that situation, right, where they are not ready to say, it's me, I'm hurt, I loved you, and you left me, or I thought we would be forever. A girl's dream of having a child is not typically have a baby and the father is not there. That's just not how we're raised. Even though society has shown us different things, we still are raised with the hope. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with having this dream, right? And so if we're not ready to do that, then what? Because there can just be that one person who's raining on the parade. However, that rain could be coming down so hard, it has now changed the personality of the other person.
Oh yeah,
who wants to think sound. They came in it ready to be mutual. And now they're like, forget it. I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah, even the calmest, coolest of a person could, eventually react. And sometimes the reaction could be a detraction. And so, and then those become stories of, well, your dad ain't called you in 2 weeks. Daddy tired of you, Mom.
Yeah,
Daddy tired of the game. Daddy tired of you. And then daddy the bad man, because in a sentence, dad sounds like the bad man. Dad haven't called son in 2 weeks. Well, dad called that son for 4 weeks in a row every single day, and you hit delete or erase or whatever, ignore.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's not told. And women do it too. I just want to say women do it too. I know somebody who personally, I know someone who went through the same thing. Like when their child was no longer, women do it too. So any women who think it's only men, no, it's women. And when a woman is hurt and a child has been taken from her and for whatever reason, she goes through that same pain. And it was the first time that I had seen a mother just walk away for the most part, be willing to just say, forget it, figure it out. And that was the first time that my eyes opened to see what men see or how they are, because I'm a woman. So I hadn't looked at it that way. I hadn't seen a woman do that, but I had. And I also get to see, because I know these people very well, what it looks like, the healing for that child who's like, I'm not rocking with you. And that's why there's so many children that feel that way, when it comes to dad, like, I'm just not rocking with you. And unless you have that one person, like you said, that has gotten over their pain and is willing to say, listen, people make mistakes, people make decisions, forgiving is still important. That's the key, parents, that we have to get back to the forgiveness. We created whatever it is we see, whatever I see in our older kids. I know I had a hand in that, in whatever it is. Like, I want to celebrate the great things. They're amazing. But the other stuff, I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
that was a little bit of me.
And you told me that we kind of look past the bad parts or the parts of us that we see sometimes, and I think that's very true. That's actually something that I kind of incorporated in my thinking since you told me that. It's true. And I think a lot of it too, and let's say there is a situation where there's one person who's the calmer person or being more rational or more adult or whatever you want to call it, and the other person isn't. My advice for the one that's trying to stay above board or the one that's trying to, be the good one is have an easy eraser. You always got to remember it's not for the kid. So if she get mad because you called yesterday, so what? Call back tomorrow. And I know just like anything else, it could be hard to keep combating that. I mean, always combating people is a difficult thing, especially when it's over something you love. I mean, we've seen people walk away from jobs where they have $1 million salary to go hitchhike across the country for free because they couldn't take the pressure of where they worked.
Right.
And so people succumb to it, and it happens. It might not be something that you want to think about, but it does happen. But my advice to those people is just keep forgetting. Don't worry about that person being mad or acting irritating. Just have an eraser in your brain. Like, who cares?
I love that. Keep forgetting.
Yeah, just keep forgetting. Who cares?
Oh my goodness. I'm typing that into the
if your feelings aren't really for that person anyway, it don't matter.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
I love that.
Who cares? I'm calling for my child. And so I'm going to keep forgetting that you're mad. I'm going to keep forgetting that you're playing games. I'm going to keep forgetting that you acted like I didn't call yesterday. Whatever. That's fine. Give me your phone. Right. I'll call you back. I'll call you back, because what is the goal of that person is to make you quit. And and what you do is you don't engage in those things, and it'll subside. Don't engage and just stay on it. And just, hey, this is about my child. I'm not even worried about it, but hey, let them know I called.
That's really great advice, because the bottom line is that the kids need you. The parents may feel like they don't need you. They just want the child support or whatever it is, but the kids, they need you. And I'm not talking about people who are in a situation where the child is unsafe. Most parents love their kids, and sure, one parent may live in a mansion and the other parent may not. They may live in a small little cozy, intimate home. It doesn't change the love in that home. It just doesn't change. It does not. But that's when we want to judge. See, the man was good or the girl was good when they lived in that small cozy home and you were still in your mansion. It was good. It didn't matter. Right. But now that the child has to go there, oh no, come on now.
Right. And I think a lot of it is balanced too. I think children actually need both parents. There is a reason it took two, whether you want to make it religious or just natural or scientific, however you want to put it, it took two. Regardless. And so there has to be some type of balance. You have two legs for balance. You got four wheels on the car for balance. The child needs both. It needs the mother. It needs the father. It needs the love of both. It needs the experience of both of them. It needs the thought process of both of them. And that's why, and that's how I think a lot of men, I think that's what men want. I think a lot of men want to be a part of their child's lives in an equal capacity because you want that balance. And I think that's the part that a lot of people just, overlook. And like I said, we were talking earlier, and I was telling you, I can only tell you from me.
Right.
And so this is my thought process, and this is how I look at things. And so, but I think kids just need balance. They need both of us.
They do. And the differences in the parenting style is important, even for people who are married, you know, because, and I'm speaking from a woman's perspective, like, ladies, if you are out there and every time your husband or your man has something to say, you're belittling them or you're downplaying them or you're telling, you are sending a message so clear to your children that your dad or your husband or whomever that man is, he's stupid, or you don't need to respect him. You don't need to listen. And then the man will begin to wonder, why are they treating me this way? Or you're just telling them that your daddy's never home, but you're not telling them that he works 3 jobs and he's you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying every man is, but you know, late hours, and I know that there's a level of balance. I get it, but we are the reason why people think whatever they think. If my family thought ill of my husband, which they absolutely do not, it's my fault. Because my family, they don't live here. I live here. So based on what I say is what other people feel. Based on what I say is how the kids feel, you know?
Right.
So I don't believe that kids just automatically hate their other parent. No, they feel some kind of way because of whatever they've heard repeatedly said over and over and over again. We are definitely training them.
I think so. They emulate exactly what they see and what they do. And then it's funny because you could think of examples. Like I said, I have a son who lives in 2 places. With me, I get my hair cut short. I rock a fade. So I go to the barber. So when he come, he want to go to the barber, right? When he's there, we're over there, they wear dreadlocks. So he just want his hair long. It's where they're going to identify with whoever they're with the most. And like I said, that's where I say a balance is important. It's most people, if you look at it, you kind of follow the process of one of your parents, whether it's your career, even the way you might turn out as an adult. But like you said, a lot of the things that you do and your actions, even your intuition, it comes from the things, your environment, and the things that are around you. And your biggest influence are your parents, the people who are directly go clean your room, wake up, I love you, how was school, you ready to go.
Yes.
Those are the people who know the most. And so, and like I said, I think it comes down to balance.
I agree. And balance, now if there's an extra parent, if there is somebody has gotten married, like in your case, you're married, you have even more balance, like that tricycle. Now you have 3 wheels. You really are falling, you know, like you're even more solid with 3 than 2.
If everybody could get on the same page, you see what I'm saying?
We tap into that for sure.
Yeah, everybody got to get on the same page. And once everybody get on the same page, then I think it's easier. But that seems to be the hard part. It's not opening the book, it's getting on the same page. And that's the hard part. You know, you on page 5, they on page 64, you on page 112. They done closed the book.
Book is back on the shelf. I'm done.
Right. And you're adding an extra person. And so when you add an extra person, people try to act like they're like another person could be detached, men and women. I'll be detached from that child. No, yeah, right. If you're always around that child and you're always around that woman or man, you're going to come attached to that child. Right. You're going to start giving off your opinion, your thought. So you're going to be a part, whether anybody want to realize it or admit it or not. You could be a part of it without saying a word. Because your partner knows you now. They know how you feel. And so a decision, they might have a little bit of apprehension about letting Billy go because they like, well, Jake might be mad.
Right.
Daddy didn't call you for 2 weeks. Now I've been with this man for a while and he got to watch you be angry that your daddy didn't call you.
Right.
And so, but your daddy's here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you have added another element to it. So you don't just got to not worry about what that person thinks because that person has feelings. And you know, us as being, we act like we don't, but that person has feelings. And not only do we have feelings, we be expecting you guys to acknowledge our feelings. Even if we don't say it,
Like 100. Oh my gosh. I literally this week, I don't know if you heard the relationship. I was like, ladies, I'm gonna say it again for those people who may not, or just tell a friend, right? Your man needs you to show him that you need him.
Yeah.
Even if you don't need him, that you got life insurance, health insurance, your own car, 15 degrees, whatever it is, congratulations. I'm glad that you are successful in your own right. However, if you want a man to stay and be happy, you have to let him know that you need him. And that's not just through words, that is through actions. And I'm not just talking about sex, ladies. That's simple. I'm talking about the actions outside of that. You cannot belittle, berate, disrespect, and insult a man constantly and expect him to stand up tall and be like, yeah, that's my girl, or yeah, I'm the man. No.
Right.
It's that loving touch, it's that loving sound. It's those things. That's where that love really comes in. The sex, everybody thinks that's the most important. Yes, it's important, but not when it comes to building up your man. That's not the first defense of what you got to do. So I agree.
Men like to be acknowledged. I think with men and women, it's easy to keep somebody's body, but it's hard to keep somebody's mind. And once their mind goes afloat, it's like air. It's hard to catch air, right? And capture it and bring it back. It's hard. You got to figure that out. And so, right. And so that's what happens once a person's mind leaves. You know, their body could still be there. You could be in a relationship. Your husband or wife could come home and say hi and hey, how's everything? And ain't thinking about you none. And I think that's what happens when you don't do those, when you just don't show the men like affection. We might act like we don't. We like affection. Men like just to be acknowledged. You know, even if I really don't care about what you said, oh yeah. You know.
I didn't even hear what I said. I know.
Yeah. Everybody wants to feel respected. And I think for men, I think it's even that feeling is bigger. Like, I want to be respected. It doesn't have to be in a macho, belittling way. It's just on the inside. That's just how men are. And not every, you know, it just is. So
I agree. 150%. I agree. So and then the thing is once we're on the same page, when it comes to what we're talking about now, it literally ties into co-parenting and your household. Because if I didn't adjust myself to understand my husband properly, he is not trusting me to take the place that I took when it came to trying to help with co-parenting. Like, if I can't even talk to him, how are you going to fix this? You can't even talk to me. I don't even trust that you're going to make a proper decision. You know, sometimes that comes down to trust, because in my case, he stepped back. He was like, this isn't working. It's ruining a relationship with my son, and I need it to fix. And so I was like, well, I can step in. Let's see if it'll work. But if I didn't have a level of trust between the two of us, he's not trusting me with that. He's going to be like, no, you're going to mess it up. It's going to be worse. And now I'll never see my child again. You know, that fear would rage up, but it's the opposite. But it started between us.
Now what you're talking about now is very important. That's a very tricky thing to balance. Is this. Okay, as a man, you have a relationship and your child is with somebody else. And let's say pre-court or whatever, and that person is making all the decisions and you feel like you have to walk on eggshells so that person don't act funny, don't do anything. You already been through a lot of drama. You already kind of beat down. So you got to walk on eggshells. But walking on eggshells is a disaster for your relationship you're in with the person that you're with. And so that balance is, how do you come together with that person is tricky, because for a man, this is what we got to deal with. Okay, the person you with, well, let me call her. I want to call her. I want to talk to her. And you like, ooh, in your mind, you like, I don't know how, like, it's not that I don't want you to, but I don't want you to. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want that drama. You don't want this one. And so you're in the middle. That's tough. And I don't think people even give a credence to how tough that is for a man, because they think like, and correct me if I'm wrong, man, this is what we hear. You must still love her. And you like, no, I don't even like her. I have a child with her, but personally, hey,
Yes.
you're a human. I'm glad you're alive. It is what it is. But it don't matter because that person feels that pressure. Like, well, you're guarding me from, and what it really is showing my emotion to that person.
Right.
You see what I mean? And that part is true for the man. I'm like, yeah, you doggone right. I don't want that to make her not answer the phone for 2 weeks or act funny, or when I go pick him up, oh, he got a play date. Something strange. And so we're balancing a lot. I think we do. And
but I think that you have more. I don't like the word control so much, so I don't like using that. You have more authority than you exercise as men in some cases. So the situation is this. The relationship has already ended between you and the other person. Whether you were in a relationship, married, not married, it doesn't matter. It didn't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you're trying to tiptoe an eggshell for that, on the eggshells for her.
Right.
And you're not properly supporting your wife because who is saying whatever she's saying. So the twofold is, if your wife has established some level of calm, peace, something that she's bringing to the table for you to trust her enough to know if she does say, let me call her, that she's just not going to act a complete fool.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to lean back a little bit. I don't know, but heck, at this time, I'm tired. So maybe your route will work. You know what I mean? Like that's where Imani was. He was like, I don't even care what we try at this point, because I'm not, there was a restraining order. She couldn't call him, but even before that happened, he wasn't talking. You know what I mean? Which is probably what made it even matter, but it didn't matter. So I was like, and here I am. I'm still here. So that was how it was. But he was very specific and intentional, and he never changed his stance.
Mm-hmm.
If men were very clear, because what women say about most men, it's probably the number one thing I told my husband that I hear women say: my man does not have a backbone. When men don't hold the thing down, and it's not about controlling her or all the neck rolling, but it's the number one thing that I hear women say: he doesn't have a backbone.
Okay, I think a lot of men, I don't think it's necessarily that they don't have a backbone. I think sometimes we don't have good advice and we don't have a plan. And we're going into it as human beings. We still have feelings. I know you have feelings. This person got feelings. The kids got feelings. And so it's not that we don't have a backbone. We're actually trying to respect everybody's situation. And I think sometimes that become a problem. You have to realize you're not going to make everybody happy. No. And I think as men, especially, and I'll be honest, good men, because if you have a heart, what is your natural inclination is going to be to help and to, put out fires and to calm things down. And the person who's always putting out the fire always seems like the person without a backbone. It's just like if everybody's about to fight and one guy's like, stop it. You guys stop. You stop. Look, his mother. Look, his cousin. You guys love each other. They're going to be like, he's a coward. Move him out the way.
Right.
And that's just the way people's thinking. That's our logic. And so I don't think it's necessarily that men don't have a backbone. I know it's easy to label that, but my own personal feeling, because I've heard that too. Yeah. And I've heard it about men that I know have a backbone. And I don't mean just like physically ready to fight, but I mean they've been through the storm. They've been through the fire. They're good men. They have a lot of intestinal fortitude. Sometimes they're beat down. Sometimes life may beat you down, but they definitely have backbones, but they're such good men that, okay, look, I don't feel like pissing her off, so I got to do this. I don't feel like pissing her off, so I have to do this. And wait, oh, your mama mad too? Sorry, Miss Jackson. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and so while you're looking this way, apologizing to this person, telling, oh, no, okay, I'll be there at 7. But you and who you're with have plans with your child, and in her mind, and what you guys planned until 9, she hear you saying 7, so you don't have a backbone. You doing what she said.
And that's the problem, though. See, that I didn't deal with is my point.
Yeah, I've dealt with a lot.
I think that the number one thing is this, and in my opinion, from an outsider, looking in, and maybe it's not number one, but it's on the list. The man needs to know, and or the woman needs to know what they want. Not what their mother wants, not what their grandmother wants, not what their girlfriends think it is. we need to know first and foremost what we want out of the situation. See, my husband was clear on what it was and what it wasn't. So all the things that came in between, and he was rational. You know, it wasn't even like he wasn't rational. He was rational. So if it was, I have this thing with my wife and it's 9. No, not 7. It's I can be there by 9:30. But 7 won't work. I have something to do. And it's not putting the wife to the side. It's not the wife wanting to be put in front of everything because she's the wife. It's balance. You know, I tell stepmoms all the time, you knew what you got into when you got into it. You knew there was a child. You knew if she's nice, not nice, whatever her situation is, the biological mother, you knew that before you said I do. We're not the victims. We're not the victims, you know, and if it's a stepfather situation, but we always want to be the victim.
Right. And I think even with the mom, I've had to understand what the mom is, or the new mother or the stepmom is. Everybody does have feelings. And I think it goes back to even what I was saying about the maternal parents is realizing what those feelings are and addressing them, being honest. You know what? I don't feel good about this.
Right.
Or, you know what? I act like I like this. I don't like this. This is what I don't like. This is what I feel. Because as long as you're trying to, you know, put a shield around the way that you really feel, it's always going to be a battle. You know what I mean? Even for the other person, they might feel like, well, you guys have a child, you might still have feelings for her. So every time you talk to her, I got to be right here. You see what I'm saying? And I do think that a lot of these things, they're just things that happen that takes maturity and time. And a lot of these situations where we're talking about, I think that's the key ingredient we leave out is time. Any cut takes a minute to heal.
Absolutely. And if you leave the infection in, it's not, because it's just infected. Like if you don't take all the poison out, it's just like for us, people see, oh, she just made this up. It can't be. We're almost 11 years later in my journey. It's almost 11 years. This was not like 1 year. And I'm like, oh, guess what, guys? We're best friends. And I'm still not getting my nails done.
That's a long time.
That's my point. You know what I mean? Like, that's my point. Well, we can take about 3.5, 4 years off because while my husband and I dated, I didn't disturb myself because we didn't live in the same house. So I wasn't the girlfriend who was like, oh no, I fell back. I was like, go on and work it out. But if the phone rings after 9, if the child is not in the hospital, I'm not doing that. I did establish that from dating. I was like, I'm not doing that. She gets the call all night long. I'm not playing that game. But I was clear about that. And he was like, it makes sense. I was like, she's not. Once we were married, I'm sure she went into shock. I know she went into shock because I was like, okay, look, there's a new sheriff in town. And the way you've been talking to my man, who's now my husband, is not going to work out. It was not, because now you're disrupting my household. You weren't disrupting my household. I told her in front of her mother and her father very clearly, I don't care how many kids you have in my home. This is my man. And if you don't know how to respect him, when you speak to him, it's going to be a problem. No, I didn't even say it was a problem. I was like, you won't talk to him. So since you still don't know after the warning how to talk to my husband respectfully, I said, listen, you can talk to your man however you want to. Cuss him out, whatever. I don't speak to my man like that. So we got a new rule. You don't get to talk to him. Anything you need, you talk to me. And that's how it. That's exactly. We warned first. I was like, look, you know what? I don't know how you get down in your relationship, but you can't, my MFing and all that to my man, that just doesn't work for me.
Right. So now see what's important, I think, in your guys' relationship, me from an outsider listening to you, is both of you guys have to have a certain level of maturity to do that. Because when you talk to her, your intent isn't to, I'm not trying to make you mad. I'm not trying to rub nothing in your face. I'm just telling you, this is what it is. We're going to respect each other. Right. And this is it. And so you're not trying to rain on that person's parade, and your husband isn't trying to rain on their parade. So that's it's a good meeting of people that could just, you know, get on the same page.
But she wasn't trying to be on the same page or in the same book, and she did not take it that way, I promise. I get it. Like, the way I'm telling the story is true. And although you hear her now saying, and she'll say, you know, she extended the olive branch so many times. I always told her, I don't want to replace you. You know, I don't want to be Ike's mom. this is the thing people don't think about. Shri and Dame were on their way to college. Okay. Ike is 11. Shri's 23. She has her master's degree. She's finished. D is in undergraduate. He's a junior. I was ready to sit on the beach every other weekend with an umbrella in my drink. My husband didn't have custody of him when we got married. All this happened afterwards. So I told her, I was like, first of all, I'm upset with you. That you
changed my plan.
Right. Hello. This is the thing that so you look at a stepmom thinking, like, some people may look at me and think, she just no, it wasn't my plan. I was a teenage mother, Tyrone.
Right.
18,
I get it.
I had my baby girl. 19, I had my son. I was ready to chill out. And now they're in college and I'm at a first grade PTA meeting. I got set up.
See, Tuniscia, but like you were saying, you had plans of sitting on the beach. But like I was saying earlier, you were able to be honest with yourself to the point to where you can say, you know what? Those were my plans. I'm going to have to change those. Those aren't going to be exactly how it happens.
Right.
But you addressed that and you were honest about it instead of trying to act like you didn't feel that way, but trying to accept somebody.
That's true. I hadn't thought about it. That's true. I am very self-aware.
Could you imagine if you tried to accept Ike, but you still were mad that you're not at the beach, but you've never addressed it with yourself?
Yes.
And you see what I'm saying? You're split.
There's a lot of people bitter. There are a lot of stepmothers who are in that place right now. I talk to them regularly because they feel like I've spoken to some people that, they feel like I've been bamboozled. I'm required to have this higher expectation of what motherhood is, but the biological mother isn't held to that. Those are real feelings. But for me, we all gonna go to the beach. Come on, let's go.
What I've learned in my situation, like with my wife, I have learned that her as a stepmom, and this is something as a man that, okay, when you say you have to address things and be honest with yourself, I've had to do that too. That when you that talk with yourself, when you're trying to figure it out. And I have had to learn that sometimes when they show their emotion, it's not that they're angry. It's not that they're jealous. They have fallen in love with your child.
Yes.
They are around your child all summer or 7 months a year. And, they're picking them up from daycare. They're making breakfast. They have incorporated them completely in their lives. Right. And I think as men, we get so caught up in the let's not make this person mad over here. We're not even noticing that this person is falling in love with this human being. And that's literally what you want, because you want every other party wants it, but that's the person that everybody else give the least amount of thought to. Right. And so I have had to learn that as a man, like, well, she's not even really mad. She's hurt. And she's hurt because she loves this child. And so it's not that she's trying to be nosy. She wants to know. She's concerned. This is to her, in her soul, her child now too. And so with us as men, we're like, why are you being nosy? Why are you worried about it? Nah. And that's what I'm saying. That's something that I have grown to learn, is like, and that's why I say all of it is a growing process for everybody. But you got to be willing to look at each other and say, look, it ain't gonna be perfect. Right. We're growing.
But the reason why you're able to see that beauty in your wife and in your experience is because of the trust that you have in her. If that trust is not established between two people, you can never get to that place.
Nah.
If that woman is belittling and mistreating the man, believe me, in his mind, even if you think you love the child so much, he can only see the love that you're going to have for his child through the love you give him. He can't. You can't see past that love, or parent, whichever parent. If I didn't give my husband a certain level of love, there's no way he could ever envision me doing the right thing when it came to Ike.
No, he wouldn't trust you.
Right.
He would never trust you,
because the part that everybody misses.
And the thing is, it's not even trust. It's just reality. If you act the fool in front of me, you're gonna act the fool behind me. Yes. This ain't rocket science. Yep. You see what I'm saying? And so I do think that we gotta, we do have to watch the way that we treat the person that we're with. Another thing, I think that, look, as far as co-parenting with the parent of the child who isn't in the same home, I do think it's important, even if you guys don't like each other, respect each other.
Yes.
Do your best to respect each other.
Yes.
Act like you like each other. You know, do what you gotta do, because like we were saying earlier, the kids do take on the energy and the attitude and the gratitude, everything from who they're around the most.
Absolutely.
And so if they always feel like, if they feel like daddy can't stand mommy, can't stand mommy, then little Billy gonna be with mommy kind of like whatever.
Right.
And when mommy like little Billy ain't listening, you kind of like, yeah, your problem. You don't want to let me have them. So it's a circle.
Everybody's blaming.
Yeah, it's a circle.
Everybody's blaming.
Right. And so you got to kind of like, okay, to talk respectful about the other party.
Exactly.
They got to make sure that they do that. You know what I'm saying? Be cordial when you see each other. It's about growing up. It's not even about, it's about the child, literally, right? And so it's not about nobody's feelings. It's almost like business. When you go into a business meeting, you go in, you have a goal. The goal is to get paid and leave, right? And so when you go, and so with your child, you want your child to be happy. You have a goal. And so your goal is for your child to be happy, and then you leave, right? And so when you go in, hi, shake hands, do what you got to do. So the child shows that same respect to the other parent. Exactly. So that child knows that they're supposed to show the same respect to you. Because as a man, this is what I see. And any men watching this or watch it later, and even women in a similar situation. You'll talk to your child, especially if your child is young, and you might know what I'm talking about. And when your child's with one parent, they always acting shady. Hi, what you want?
Exactly.
Huh? And you like, I know exactly where you got that from. And when the child's with you, they're like, hi, hey.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what I said. And that tears men up too. Men don't admit it, but people don't say that.
It's even worse for a woman. Because Ike lives with us. So that was one of the things that got Danielle to realize, because she was like, he was different for me than he was for her. For me, he's respectful. And then she would call me and say, do you know he did what? I remember one Christmas, literally Christmas, my husband and I had to drive over to her house because he had showed off something that he would never do. Right. So now it's Christmas and the stepmom and the dad are at her house. Like, dude, what are you doing? So I am always reminding him. I'm the person reminding him of the importance of being respectful. And you know what's interesting? He said, Mom, it's kind of like mommy is getting the same thing she gave to you guys. When I was little, she always told me to be bad and be disrespectful so that daddy would make me go live with her. That was something she always told him. Just if you just act bad as much as possible, he'll put you out and you can come live with me. And he tried it. Wow. Then he realized it wasn't working out very well for him. But that was what was put in. So he said, I think it's turned back on her now. Now that all that energy that she gave, and it's true, but no matter what, I'm always saying, it's on you, buddy. Whatever she did, you are going to reap the harvest of whatever negative energy you put out there. You think you're hurting her, you're just hurting yourself. And I want to see you succeed. So be loving, be kind, be forgiving. You know what I mean? Like that's still, and so even as parents, it's still important for us to teach through our behavior.
Yes, it is. And as its parents too, I think what we have to watch out, what we do, we don't even, like I said earlier, we don't have to say anything. We know our kids, so we could play games, do things like this. If son comes with daddy, and mommy knows son loves toys, and it's coming down to, son's trying to figure out where do I want to stay or what's going, they got a lot going on in their head. And so when mommy calls son, mommy's like, look what I got for you.
Bribing
a toy. It's to keep their mind there. You know what I mean? And you'll hear it, the son will be like, hey, well, can I come get my toy and come back?
Right.
You can't control their mind for so long because they have their own, but the manipulation is real. And us as adults, men and women, we tend to do those things. And like I said, a lot of the things we don't admit, but we'll definitely manipulate our child. Did you say that? Nope. You didn't have to say it.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things you don't have to say.
Exactly.
Kids are in tune with things. Kids know things. Or if this child thinks, like I've seen a lot of people do this, especially like when it's around custody or whatever. whenever the child comes back, they have a big old party, right?
Mm.
Whenever the child goes to the other place, they have a big old party. This child is being transferred every month and a half, but they're having a party every time they're trying to win over the child.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yes.
you can't keep up that standard forever. One, you're going to spoil your child. Your child's not going to know how to perceive it, because once it dies down, the kid like, hey, wait
what
a
happened
minute.
to the party? Where's the party? Yeah.
Hey, but we spend so much time trying to overdo it for the other, over exaggerate the other person's
and make
act.
the other person look bad, and it's just not necessary. Like, we don't have to.
No manipulation.
Just for, and I will speak to even if you're faking till you make it, kids notice. Recently Ike said something to his mother. Called her all the way out on the carpet. He was like, I don't like the way you talk to mommy or daddy.
Wow. Well, see, Ike must come from a home where he's communicating. And I've heard Ike, and I listen to Ike speak. And what I admire about Ike and the way that he's been raised is he knows how to communicate. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that's very important in any type of relationship, any type of anything, is your skill of communication. And for him to be so young and to be able to communicate that, most kids would not say it. They don't know how to communicate it.
I know. When he said it, I was like, I told my husband, I was like, babe, did you know? He noticed. I didn't even know he noticed, because I'm always the same, and that's what upset him. So parents, watch out. What has upset him is because he's like, my mom and dad are always so nice to you, and you act like you don't want to be bothered. That bothers him.
Hey, she might really not want to be bothered.
She might not, but
she got to figure it out. That's
the thing. That's the thing. And so I had a talk with him, her, and and I said, just so you know, it doesn't bother me. And I say it all the time. I don't know if she's changed or not changed, because people think empowered stepmother, that just means everything's perfect. No, it's not. She might not want to be bothered. Not my business. I'm not going to change who I am. It's Valentine's Day. Buy her a gift. It's this thing. Give her a gift. I'm not here to be BFFs. I'm here to help to make sure the two of them have a beautiful relationship. Do I know that she respects me? Absolutely. Is it still awkward and uncomfortable for her? Yes, it is. She is far nicer to me when my husband's not around than when he is. It's uncomfortable for her.
Of course.
But it takes me to pay attention to that, and I can't explain that to a young child.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But see, too, it's commendable that you understand that. And see, it's reality. That's just what's going to happen.
Yes.
You see what I mean? And I think sometimes we want to defy those things, but and again, it takes time, sometimes a long time.
Exactly. And she's working on it. Like, I give her props, because I'm telling you, that girl is working on it. She really is. I'm so proud of her. There's nothing that I can do for her. She knows I don't have any ill will for her. I want the best for her. I want, most importantly, and that's why I told Ike, sweetie, it's more important that you just focus on loving your mom in every moment that she's with you than it is for you to worry about defending us and whether she's friendly. Because when you're focused on that, that's adult stuff. You're taking away the time that you get to just embrace and love her in that moment. That's all you need to worry about. Just be 11. I said, and I'm telling you, as much as I love that you're defending me, it's not hurting my feelings.
Right.
So, and he's like, okay. I was like, so I can tell you that my feelings aren't hurt. I'm not sad. So
go ahead and let the kid be a kid.
Let him be a kid.
And I'll tell you what, honestly, I personally think this is my view on things. A lot of the time, and I realized what I was going through, the mother of my son would say, well, it's going to be hard. But like anytime we'd have a breakthrough, her first words would be like, even with, okay, well, let's communicate. It's going to be difficult. It's going to take steps. And my thing is like, get rid of that thinking.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it. Stop making it. It's not that hard. I mean, in most situations, I won't say most situations, but in situations where there was no reason for no anger, just things kind of just maybe didn't work.
Right.
Then in those situations, it's just like, you know what? No, just communicate. A lot of it is that inner struggle we have within us of just not like breathing and letting it go. And
even if there is anger, you can still let it go.
Just let it go. Move on.
The first step is a commitment. Make a commitment and move on.
Just
You
move
know,
on.
I committed, and that's why I'm an empowered stepmother. And that's what I told Ike. I said, you see, that's the difference between an empowered stepmother and a stepmother. An empowered stepmother is not fazed by whatever else is happening because it's none of my business. Whether somebody wants to be friendly or smile, not smile, that's not my business. If I genuinely want to be who I am, I stay that way regardless of what's happening. Now, when people step outside of my boundaries, then those are my boundaries. And then I make a different arrangement. But my boundaries is not just because you don't feel like smiling, I'm not going to be nice to you anymore. Those are my boundaries. You know what I mean? And so I just think that we, as step parents, as parents, if we speak strongly, like in Ike's case, I'm making sure you know you have the permission to love whoever you want to love the way you want to love them. Just because you're here with me and your dad does not mean you are not supposed to love your mother unconditionally. Speak loving, speak kind, be excited to see her. That is how it is, you know, and that's the one thing that we've given.
That's you guys being adults, and what that's going to do is just make him respect his mom. He's getting an example of respect. And the good thing about it too is that I'll bring in something else that helps him be respectful of women in general later.
Exactly.
He understands how to respect. You see what I'm saying? And that's something that's taught. It's not just it's respect isn't always innate. That's something that's taught. And I think that. And I think a lot of it is just people just changing your mind frame, change the way you think. Don't look at it as a hill. Look at it, it's flat. It's just a flat ground, and we're just about to walk it. You know, like I'm gonna respect you, you're gonna respect me, and hey, you know, don't think of it as a mountain. Anytime you think of something as a challenge, or anytime you think you lost before you go into it, you have already failed in anything you do. So why put that in front of you, that discouragement? And what it does is, if you and I are trying to come to an agreement, and let's say you're super optimistic and you're like, you know what, Tyrone and I, we're going to hash this out. We're going to come to an agreement. And my very first words are, it's going to be difficult, but I guess we could do it. I mean, it's going to take some time, Tuniscia. But it's going to be hard.
Right.
It takes so much air out of you, you know?
I know. But for me, because of where I am, I'm just going to say something positive back. That's all. Yeah. Because that's your story, and your story doesn't become my story.
Right.
Once we've owned where we are, well, it might be tough for you. For me, I'm just planning on doing X, Y, and Z. That's all my plan is. You know, you can just make it basic. I'm just planning on doing, you know, I could have made a huge deal about what Ike was saying. No, it's okay. She's uncomfortable. It's tough. And that's where the whole, like, where half of our conversations come from, because I'm trying to simplify a bigger adult thing, but I still want to make sure he understands because he's asking a lot of questions. Simplify it, parents. We have more authority we have all the authority over our lives. I cannot, will not, and gave up, quit, whatever it is, controlling anybody else.
Yeah. I think honesty to our children are very important. I have a daughter, she's 15. Ooh. And so as a man, it's a challenge. I've never been a 15-year-old little girl, not one day of my life. And so I'm talking to her, and I was speaking to her right before we went on, and let me make sure she's not listening. But I was right before we went on, and she was just like, well, and this is weird, and I'm just being honest. She was like, well, sometimes I'm emotional and this and that, and it's not, and I'm not emotional with her. And I'm gonna be honest. This is what I told her. I said, well, it goes like this. I feel for you, but just because you're emotional and sad don't mean I have to be sad with you. I can have some empathy, and I could give you advice, and I could talk to you, but I don't have to cry also to show you to understand what you feel. And when I say about honesty, as I said, because the majority of the time in the world, people are not going to feel what you feel. And even your friends, you'll have close friends to where you might feel super sad. Now they feel for you being sad, but just because you're staying home all weekend don't mean they're going to stay home all weekend. They might call you like, hey girl, we having fun, you good? But they're not going to stay with you just because you're sad. That doesn't mean that they don't feel for you. And so, I try to be honest with children. I think, you just got to kind of break it down to them on the surface level.
Absolutely.
And just let them run with it, and I'll tell her, like, this is how things are.
Yes.
And I also tell her, like, and then if you have a friend, let's say every time your friend cries, you cry. And then your friend starts crying every single day. Then you realize your friend is crying, but it's majority her fault. When are you gonna stop crying with her and say,
right.
hey, you see? And so, and like, and
That's
I'm just saying how
empathy and sympathy.
Right.
That's an empathy, sympathy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You can have empathy. Sympathy is when you jump into the hole with them, and now both of y'all stuck in the hole. And how you gonna get out? There's no ladder.
Right. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, that's where a lot of the drama come from, is because at one point in time, you guys' thought process was together. Y'all was together. It was all good in the hood.
Right.
And then one day it went left. And when the thought process changed, then everything changes. And so that's back to the title. Where does it come from? I think a lot of it does come from when you guys split in thought.
Yes.
Even if it's a one night stand, you guys were thinking the same thing for a couple minutes.
You were on the same page. Exactly. It's the reality. I mean, in most cases, it's 100% the reality. And now you're not. And so what would you say in closing to our great guest?
To our great guest, I would say be patient.
Yeah.
And I would say something that my dad always told me. He said, just because you're mad at me, don't mean that I have to be mad at you. You can't control how I feel. You could be mad at me and I can still love you. Have a great day. He didn't say the last part, but that's
the way he sent you on your way.
And so it's like, and I would just say that don't let somebody scorn or somebody emotion tear at you so much to where you're not being who you are. And you don't even have to be mad at somebody because they're mad at you. Because if it's taken away from you, you're taken away from your child. If you're angry and your child sees you angry, your child's going to perceive you as angry. If you're always sad or even frustrated, or what a lot of us get caught up in closing is our mind isn't there. So if we're going through it with the parent and our son wants to play, but I'm steady thinking about what your mom said and we're texting back and forth, but you've been sitting here for 2 hours just looking at me, my mind isn't there. I'm not giving you what you need. Exactly. And so I would say, to learn to just not let somebody else's feelings dictate your life and your time with your child.
I love it. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You did great. I love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much.
I never get interviewed. I interview people, but I never get interviewed.
It took me 15 months. You guys, I felt like I was trying to get in contact with Will Smith, trying to get
no way.
Thing. I was like, hello? Okay, I'm going to send him one more message. Hey, Tyrone, remember me, Tuniscia? Hey, just wondering if you could respond, maybe. Just respond.
Oh,
no,
man.
I'm so glad to have you. I really, really appreciate you sharing, and we'll have you back when we need another male perspective on these topics, because it was a great conversation. Thank you so much, my friend, for joining us.
I hope they like my perspective. I want to say thanks. I gotta give a shout out to Gooch. He said, hey, give me a shout out. So I gotta give him a shout out. So I gave him a shout out. But thank you for having me, Tuniscia. And you give me a lot of very sound advice. So before we leave, I would like to publicly say thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. I love to hear that the empowered stepmother message, because I actually get men that message me and say, can your book help me? I'm a stepfather. I'm like, I think it can help anybody, because it's a journey and it's talking about a journey. You can probably find yourself I can find myself in anybody's journey. You know what I mean? Because it's not about whether you're a woman or a man. It's just a journey and emotions. And we all go through the same things, not the same. So thank you so much for that.
Can I say one more thing? Your husband, I've actually learned from your husband through you, because his reaction, the way he go about things, being strategic with the plan, it has helped. So
you said that tonight to him too. Before we came on live, you were talking. You were like, "He got a plan, Tuniscia. You know what he's doing."
Yeah. Like when and it works. And so you might not know it, and he might not know it, but I've learned, and I'm pretty sure other people have learned by his actions and the way that you guys work together and the things that you guys give each other the gravity and the latitude to do. And so, I got to give a shout out to him. Thank you, man. You be helping. Because I just got real quiet on him. Like, here, you talk. I ain't got nothing to say.
Thank you. I know I can never get him on camera. When we're in the car, I'm like, go record. He can't put me out right now because it's live. Record. And he's like, what do you do? Okay. Hello. And then his eyes are like, oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I love that guy. He's an amazing guy. Thank you. Yeah. Send my love to your wife, your children, and everybody. And you guys, we are out of here. 4 a.m. for me comes very soon. So yeah, I get it. I'm going to tell you something. That's how the successful people do it. People think, how do they get it done? Because you get up earlier while everybody else is in the bed sleeping. 3:59, my alarm clock goes off, and it's 10:45 here. So
multiple streams of income.
Yes.
Scale upward.
Absolutely. Yes. And it takes getting up earlier. So I take advantage of the hours. I get 24. We all get the same 24 hours in a day, you guys. We really do. What you do with them is what's key. So
it's everything.
I get up early in the morning. So I'm out. See you guys.
Bye.
Wake up early.
Thank you.
Ciao. Thanks, Tyrone.
Bye.